Hello, my name is Nick Clary, and today I'm going to talk about sustainable neighborhood development and certain practices we can take in order to make our cities more smart and sustainable. So, the first thing that I want to talk about is the idea of what actually are sustainable neighborhoods. And in my opinion, sustainable neighborhoods are stepping stones to a healthy, environmentally friendly city, because in order to have an sustainable city, you have to first have a sustainable neighborhood. And the idea of this sustainable development began to take off when people really began to start caring about the environment, because they knew that the way people were living was not good for the community, not good for the environment, and not good for the people that were going to be growing up in the city. And these areas are what is known as inner city neighborhoods. And one big question within inner city neighborhoods is, how can these areas be improved while being sustainable? And if you look at this house in this picture, it's just so hard to think about how these types houses and areas can be sustainable, because they're just so unhealthy and dirty, and they have no money going into these cities. So one way to do this is to strengthen old developments before building new ones. And this practice is what can be known as adaptive reuse. And if you look at this picture, you have this apartment complex in an inner city area, and then it is going to get adaptively reused into a new, healthy, environmentally friendly apartment complex where people will enjoy living. And the definition of this is a process that changes a disused or ineffective item into a new item that can be used for a different purpose. And 90% of real estate development will eventually involve some type of adaptive reuse. So that is the future of real estate, is by using this. And people need to recognize this issue and adapt to it, so that way we can continue to grow and live more sustainably. The next thing we're going to talk about are smart cities. And this idea has really begun to grow dramatically recently. And there's just one question that people are trying to figure out, and that is, why aren't these smart cities everywhere? And that is because of cost. There are so many councils and so many people up within the city that don't want to adapt to this, because they don't think that it is worth it. And if you look at the facts and the stats, it is. So Barcelona has created 47 million jobs while saving 75 million since the start. And that is absolutely crazy to think about. And cities in the U.S. that have done it is Boston and Baltimore, and they have done what is known as deployed trash cans. And they have put 543 sensors that monitor what gets put in and out of these trash cans, so that way they know what's going in and out of these cities trash-wise. So the next thing we're going to talk about are eco-villages. Eco-villages have been around for a very long time, and these are defined as human-scale, full-featured settlements in which human activities are harmlessly integrated into the natural world in a way that is supportive of healthy human development and can be successfully continued into the indefinite future. So recently, the growth of eco-villages has begun growing at a very fast rate, and that is because of a network that is known as the Global Eco-Village Network. And it is where eco-villages meet, and they come up with ideas to create more eco-villages and develop these into more sustainable areas. And this has been on 5 different continents. And the main idea behind this is just caring for the environment while also caring for people. And if you look at this picture, it is an idea of what an eco-village might look like. And the next thing we're going to talk about is pre-amiculture. And this is a way of putting together people's food, farming, living, and homes in a way that is sustainable for the environment. And it involves 3 main ideas: the care of the earth, the care of people, and the return of surplus. And that sounds really good, but there's 3 main problems, and it's the cost aspect, which is normally an issue when trying to build more sustainable areas because it's just more expensive. And the idea of being a new concept. Farmers don't want to change because they have been used to the same old for so many years, and they know it works, so they don't want to do something different and have it not working. But if they will just learn the process and understand that it will work and be more sustainable, then we can see our agriculture area become more sustainable at a much faster rate. And the last thing we're going to talk about is climate change within developmental buildings. So climate change is affecting the whole world as a whole. And one way to look at this and figure out a way to fix this is to be prepared. Because in the recent years, our weather and our heat and our flash floods have been at such a high rate that people just aren't knowing what to do. But if people understand the data, then they can adjust and figure out ways to fix this. But one question is, what can developmental companies do to adapt to climate change or even prevent it? And one way to do this is to come up with programs within neighborhoods that force these people to engage in climate change and understand how to go about this problem. And another way to do this is to develop a market to where young people get taught how to adapt to climate change at such a young age, so that way when they grow older they understand how to fix this and how to go about this problem. So everyone has to do this part. As you can see in this chart, it's just crazy how when people actually look into climate change and want to change it, then you can see a big change. But when people don't want to do it, then it doesn't change at all. So it's pretty much just showing success versus non-success and people who are actually trying to help it out. And I hope you learned a little bit about my topic today, and I really learned a lot, and thank you for your time.